have been really pushing to get into calisthenics and all that kind of stuff. And he came and the both of them told us that you guys can't probably do it because you should genuinely consider losing weight, right? They did make the point that we're not obese. Sure, thank you.
We're not lean enough. Basically. Our body fat percentage
So
is
they
not
said
optimal.
yes. So they said bring it down and
then focus on skill training.
yes, skill training. And then I took it as a chip because I didn't like what they said. I am not against what they said. I'm not pissed off at what they said. I'm not like, oh shit, did you just say that? Oh, you're a bad human being, or how dare you say that to me? No, not that way. It just became a chip on my shoulder. And before I get into what I think about it, when I said that it is a chip and I don't like what they said, even though I might agree with what they say, you said you don't see it that way. Would you say you see that?
I see it as constructive criticism that I can use in whatever, let's say I want to, because the plan right now that we're following is we want to bulk. Right. And we want to bulk while maintaining our current fat percentage, or even lose some if possible by doing the steady state cardio, all that. So the way I see it is, I know we're doing the right thing, but someone who's more experienced on that path,
right,
like that person who shall not be named.
We already named him.
I mean, they won't remember. Anyway,
no, you can just rewind it.
If someone who's more experienced gives me that kind of advice, I get it. Especially even if it's coming from a place of belittling me, I take it as this is information I could possibly use. How can I learn from it?
Okay, why doesn't it affect you though? I'll get to the next question you just said. Two questions I have. Why is it not affecting you? Or at least affecting the way I perceive as affection? And then the second is, what'd you say? It
does affect me.
You said it's constructive criticism. What exactly is constructive criticism?
Basically, advice given that might either conflict with what you're doing, or it agrees with what you're doing, and it is information that you can genuinely use to improve yourself.
Okay. Does this include that you have all the pieces at play?
Meaning?
Does it include that for you to give constructive criticism, you need to know all the pieces at play?
Not necessarily. Sure.
Now, how is it constructive criticism?
Because it could come from a place of anecdotal evidence as well. Because
for example,
if you look at it from our perspective, right? If someone comes to us and asks us, "Hey man, I want to lose weight," right? I'm kind of fat. I want to build some muscle. I want to look ripped. And all that stuff. We can only really speak from our own experience.
No, I'm not talking about whether you have experience or not. I'm saying when you have to give constructive criticism to another person, does that criticism you can only give that criticism after you know all the pieces at play from their perspective?
Not necessarily. I believe it's intention, right? Why is this person giving me this advice?
I'm saying the criticism doesn't even make sense if I don't know what I'm dealing with. You get what I'm trying to say?
But clearly the individuals who gave us this criticism know what they're talking about.
No.
They have the skills and the body to prove it.
For example, if genuinely, let's say someone has a genetic problem as to being very fat, the 1% of the world, 3% of the world. If you go and constantly tell them, your problem is weight, and you're fat, and you're eating too much. Oh, you're probably eating too much. But you didn't even ask the question, do you have a problem? Or you didn't even do research as a coach whether you have a problem. You didn't find out there's a genuine problem elsewhere. You just give criticism. The intent, you're not trying to insult them, right? But I don't consider that constructive criticism because you don't even know what you're dealing with. You don't know all the pieces at play here. Show me all the pieces at play. Now give me advice. Your advice will be very different. You get what I'm trying to say?
I'm sure that what you're saying is that, like, I agree that there can be better constructive criticism. There can be better ways of communicating certain flaws in an individual that you see, that you know that they can improve on. But the primary I guess, qualifier for what makes criticism constructive is what is the intent behind this person.
Right, and that's why I'm not angry at them, or I'm not pissed at them, or I don't have any ill will towards them. I love those guys. I mean, for as much as I can love them, as much as I've known them, I love the guys, and they're pretty cool dudes, and they know exactly what they're talking about as well. Way more than what we know what we're doing. The next question is, why doesn't it affect you the way it affected me, though?
How exactly does it affect you?
It's like I said, it's a chip on my shoulder.
What does that mean?
I don't like what they said because I don't think they know everything at play. Does that make sense?
I don't get it. No, I get that shit. That I get that it's coming from a place where they don't know everything at play. But here's the thing: neither do you.
No, I know my stuff. They don't know my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm trying to say? I know my story. So when I tell myself something, as long this is pertaining that I am honest with myself, right? I am not lying to myself. You can lie to yourself being fat and be like, fat's not the problem. That's hypothetically, let's say I hope I am honest with myself. That's the least anyone could be, is be honest with yourself, right? I know my story. He or she doesn't know my story. Without knowing my story, without wanting to know my story, giving constructive criticism just feels like it's criticism. There's no constructive there because they don't know, or they showed no inclination to find out my story. Or don't know my story.
Why do they need to know your story?
Because that's the only way it's constructive criticism. Because then you've considered all pieces at play and then told me what I should do.
That's not true. We disagree that intent is what defines.
Yeah, but you don't. Intent will change immediately when you knew my story. So why didn't you even try to know my story? So here's where I'm at. So my argument was, this is the same problem I had with the other friend that we had as well. Now that friend, I do have a problem with.
That was not constructive criticism,
right?
though.
No, but I'm saying it could. Like he could be like, well, I didn't doubt you.
I mean, we're being vague to the audience.
Sure.
You got to explain what they mean.
I'm getting into that, right? So that person I don't want to name because I don't like what they said. I genuinely.
Okay, but let's just clarify what exactly to them so they don't get lost in the conversation.
Right. So anyways, we want.
Just tell them. So a friend of his told him. He told this friend.
Our goal. We need to start with our goal.
Huh.
So our goal was, we've been saying for the longest time, we want to come, while we were gymming at that point, we said, our goal is to not just gym, but become insanely good at calisthenics as well. So, and do both of it at the same time and eventually even get into MMA.
So
and
basically
all that kind of
have a balance between weightlifting and calisthenics.
Yes, and not pick one or the other.
Right. And
right?
And what did he say?
And he said, sure, stop talking out of your ass.
Right.
Right? And he showed a sense of disbelief because he didn't think we could do it.
All your arguments of why there's a chip on your shoulder or why you didn't like that make complete sense, because if you look at it, that's not even criticism.
Yes, there was no criticism there. I get it. But that's
purely
yes,
coming from a place of that person's own insecurity, whatever.
Sure, whatever it was, right? Whatever he believed he couldn't do it or he couldn't do it. Right. Now in his case,
that's
I do
not possible.
see the only thing, like I said, the reason I don't like what he said versus with the other two guys, Jeff and Jesse, it's not I don't like them. I'm not happy with what was said to me. I'm not against them. Here I'm against this, right? There I'm not against it.
But it sounds like even though the level of your dislike is different, the fact that a chip on your shoulder still exists when both these scenarios are vastly different, that's a problem on your end.
So no, for me it feels like this is incomplete information.
Mm-hmm.
That was wrong information, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So here I feel they would have had a very different opinion if they knew information. Here,
like what?
He wouldn't have. Here, this matter that he said wouldn't have changed regardless of what information was fed to him.
But I still don't understand why.
Okay, so here's my argument to it. Now, the thing that I had was, for you to be able to do a certain thing, which is, let's say, calisthenics, or okay, we can generally agree we are not obese, right? We're not fat. I would quite a bit argue we might even look as lean or almost as lean as Jesse, right? I could make an argument for it, right? Somewhere there, maybe he's a little bit leaner than us, sure, whatever it is. But if I just consider everything together, that is muscle, fat, all that, I would argue, right? So let me consider, again, back to the topic, at least we can come to general consensus that we're not fat.
Mm-hmm.
So now for me to do a particular move, which is, I'll just take a simple move, to do a muscle up. There are multiple categories which I have to check mark before I can do a muscle up. I need to have the skill. I need to have the strength. I need to be lean enough. and I just need to have good form, which comes under skill. So if I can check mark all of these, I should be able to do the muscle up. My question is, only way I can come, so my last judgment, because I know I'm not obese, the matter of whether I'm overweight will be the last of the category. If I can nail the skill, if I can nail my strength, and I'm still not able to do it, I'll come and consider the last part. Right? I won't go there first. Now, I'm not disagreeing with them. I'm not disagreeing with them whatsoever that I'm not overweight, and that's why I'm not able to do it. But I would first check mark all this stuff before I come to this. They don't know the first two.
But they did give us props. If you hear what they said, they said you have the strength to do it.
No, they said we have enough muscle.
No, they said they said our body
we're
fat,
strong enough, as in we've worked out
they
and
said
all that,
our
right?
body fat percentage is not ideal for that.
My question is, I've obviously, I can do it, right? For me,
Well, I mean,
I can do a basic muscle
can
up.
do it.
I can do it. No, I'm not talking about strict muscle
But
up.
then the question is, agreed, you can perform even, let's say, if the form isn't strict, you can do it. But the thing is, how well is your progress dictated by your body fat percentage?
Exactly. So that's where my question is. First job of me, because again, this is very primary, because we are not overweight. My first job would be, do I have the skill down? As people who go to the gym, the first thing that we understood, we even had this chat the day before yesterday or something, our minds don't understand what to do.
Right.
We can piece together things separately. When you ask them to do together, it doesn't get it. That mind-muscle connection is not there. I need to first get that. Then I need to be able to get strength, which in this case, because we already go to the gym, we have. If I still can't do it.
But you realize that order can be flipped.
The order
In
can,
the sense
no.
that, because if you look at people like Daniel Vadnal and Austin Dunham, they have the same thing to say. Get to a body fat percentage that is lean.
This is where, but again,
Considered lean.
that's why I put the first point. We're not obese.
But we're not lean.
We're not, as in, I'm not even going to go obese. We're not fat.
Yeah.
The reason I'm saying this, I know guys I see on Instagram who are more fat than us can do insane stuff on calisthenics. Basics, handstand, L-sit, muscle up.
But
Sure, they can't do strict.
Sure, but the question is that the optimal way, regardless of if results are possible?
Agreed. Now is where you're coming. If you, because you know everything that I know about me, when you come and tell me, Prasad, we need to consider our fat percentage, I'll be like, you have all the chips, and yet you're coming to this conclusion with this information to me. That means you've considered all things, then you're coming to a conclusion. You get what I'm trying to say? So you would come and tell me, Prasad, okay, let me think about Prasad. He's got a decent skill. He's got decent strength. If he still can't do it, Prasad, you really need to think about your fat percentage. Because you know the other two aspects. If my mom comes and tells me, Prasad, you need to think about it because you're fat, I'm like, you don't even know the other two. Do you even know if I have the skill? So my question is, you came into a judgment without knowing all the pieces. And that I'm not okay with. I'm okay because I want to find out if that is the reason why I can't do it. Is that the reason? Because in my head, I'm still, even right now, I still feel the reason you can't do muscle up is not your weight. It's because your brain doesn't understand how to do a muscle up.
Sure.
So how can I even go to weight when you don't even have the skill?
But see, what I'm saying, I understand what you're saying. Right? They made a judgment call without having knowledge of where exactly we stand in our skill level.
Yes.
Right? But you got to understand what you asked him the question, right? How do I progress? Or whatever the question was. Somewhere around you asked him for advice.
I think we didn't know. We asked him general advice, but we didn't directly ask them why we're not able to do it.
But the point is, you asked for advice.
Yeah, but did they check how our skill is?
Sure. I agree that they didn't do that.
Like, that's what we check, right?
But the point is, regardless of how the intent was not from a place, like you said, it's not from a place of ignorance.
Yes. I see
right?
that.
So then the point is, if the intention was not there to make you feel that way, but you feel that way, the problem is on your end.
No,
There is an internal bias that exists
Sure.
within you,
but
regardless of if there are objective facts behind why they made that,
and that's
or whether or
why
not it's
for me
valid.
it's not. That's why I'm not offended by what they said. But I don't think, regardless of whether I got offended or not, I don't think people should say that. At least you should consider context. If I'm coaching a kid, for example, who wants to run a race, right? The first thing I'll ask is, why are you so fat? I wouldn't ask them about skill, because their skill doesn't take priority. In that context, weight takes priority. You get what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
When you're not fat, I'd be like, if you still can't do it, I need to consider why. Like you said, it depends on the context. Now, if it was a very simple fix there, the fix was just ask what you can do. What can you do? Is your skill good? Can you do a false grip? Because we've been learning. Can you do a false grip? Do you get the concept of kipping? Do you get the concept of pushing up? Okay, you don't get that. You just might be a bit overweight, man. Bring it down. Because if you stayed immediately overweight is a problem, that's telling me I become underweight, tomorrow I should be able to do a muscle up. That's not the case because I don't have skill.
But that's not the point they said they made.
No, I know that's what I'm saying. They did not, I'm 100% sure that was not their intent. They didn't do it on purpose at all. But this is generally what everyone does. And I don't like when everyone does, just because everybody does it doesn't make it right. It still makes,
So you're saying is that you feeling that certain way when these two individuals gave you the advice is valid because...
No, I'm saying they should have given a chance that there are other aspects as to why we couldn't be able to do it before jumping to a conclusion.
But why is that even...
It matters because we as coaches, if you want to become a coach, that's how you always should approach an instance. Whether you teach...
It was a very casual conversation.
No, yeah, see, it's not a problem. If it was a problem, we'd have conversations with them, we'd fight with them and all of that. Again, now this is like a casual chip that I have. The casual chip is now I want to find out if that is the true reason. And I would 100% come and be like, dude, you're right.
But you don't think that's a problem on your end and not theirs?
No, it's definitely both. I have baggage. So my baggage is obviously talking, but I don't think it makes it right. You get what I'm trying to say?
But it's not wrong.
Like I would say, in my opinion, if I ever spoke to anybody, the approach always should be get as much information as possible, then give you a perspective as to why it's working or not working. You jump into conclusions, good or bad, they're wrong. You could jump into conclusion and say someone's good, but you don't have all the pieces and the method you went in with was wrong. Or you could jump into conclusions wrong and you don't have all the information.
See, the one thing I don't think you're being honest with yourself is that it sounds to me you're trying to give me an objective reason as to why that chip on your shoulder exists when constructive criticism, regardless of how you want to see it, was given to us. And it's not actually stemming from your pride.
But I don't think it's constructive. Again,
but we agreed constructive depends on intent.
No,
it may not have been the best constructive criticism that we can agree.
No,
right? It definitely wasn't criticism that, let's say, is top class. It took in
I would
everything.
like to go check definition of at least see Jordan Peterson what he says constructive. I think there's multiple aspects to constructive criticism.
Sure.
Right. One of the aspects is understanding the situation. Jordan Peterson will not give an advice to his client if he doesn't know what the situation is.
Sure.
Without a context, he can't speak to whether you're sane or not. Right? Mm-hmm. So even if the intent was right for him to say, you got to get your shit together, if he doesn't know what is the shit that he has to get together, it's not good criticism. It's one aspect of it. My point is they have one aspect covered, which is intent is good. Where is the aspect of them considering the context? I need to understand context before I speak. If I don't understand context, I can never speak, regardless of whether it's good or not, because I don't understand the whole situation. I need to understand it. That's why I said I agree it was a good intent criticism. They're missing one point though. And now that's not justifying my baggage. My baggage is my baggage. I shouldn't feel the way I feel, right? It's not right. You don't feel it, obviously, because there's that baggage doesn't exist in you. That baggage for me does exist, right? But the way I'm able to discern is I know for a fact the other gentleman, I did not like what he said. With these guys, I just felt like there was something missing in what they said. That's why I'm okay with their intent, because I know they have the best interest for me, right? And I think the reason this brought up to me is, again, I like to say with every other topic, when you analyze what is being done to you, you can further understand how you should go about doing things. So for us, when we go to a client, for example, let's say a fat person comes to us. I'm now going to put it, I know I like to joke by saying, you're fat. Just start the conversation by saying, let's just get this out of the window, you're fat. I like to joke about it, but obviously when a client comes in, you don't talk that way. You first try to get a glimpse of why are they fat. If they genuinely, listen, if you're fat because your habits are bad, I got to be straight up on your face. You have a shitty routine. I shouldn't be afraid of saying that. But if you're fat because, I don't know, you genuinely have a medical issue, I shouldn't denounce that, not denounce. I shouldn't belittle it by just saying the same thing I would say for someone with a shitty routine. Because here you can't even help it. And that's my job. And I think them, especially as trainers, should consider it way before saying anything. And the only reason, again, I say that is because we were not fat. If we were genuinely fat, that's fine. That's a good comment to make. Like, if another gentleman that we know in our lives, that's the comment I would throw at that person. Why would I throw that comment at that person? Because before I even consider about skill and all that, I can see you. I can see what you are. I have to throw that comment at you. And moreover, we know the situation. And that's what I said. I mean, it was very absurd for me to say that because I was like, okay, but I don't get this because the other person involved in this, I mean, Jesse as well. I'm going to be straight up. Jesse as well. I don't see us being very too far from what Jesse is. So why, can I throw the same statement at you?
But if you look at the difference between us and Jesse, what is the main glaring factor?
Skill.
No, he's lean.
But lean is very subjective.
But the question we need to ask
have
ourselves,
a different stature.
Sure. But the question, what I'm saying is, I mean, we're on the same height.
No, but I'm saying, no, you're built very differently. He's built to be very lean, but he's still skinny. I would put him...
He looks very normal.
I don't want to say skinny fat, but he looks like he has a lot of definitions there. Right?
Right.
So his body's built very differently. You think Joshua can do a muscle up?
No, of course not.
No skill there. Zero skill.
But he has zero. I mean, it's not a relevant example.
So what I noticed
and I like
was...
how you just threw out that name.
Because he was the most absurd character that I could get. The thing is, it was a genuine point. For him, it's just a matter that he's so lean. I mean, I can't even make the argument that you're so lean. You
do realize that's an irrelevant example, though, because you're talking about someone who has
I just
zero
brought it up because he has zero
training.
skill. But I'm just making an absurd point where he has zero skill. At least when it comes to calisthenics, he has zero skill. He might have some skill when it comes to gym because he goes to the gym and stuff that way. Like, for me, the glaring difference between me and Jesse is, at least, I might be overstating here and he might get pissed at me, you might get pissed at me. At least, see, this is why I don't like it, because right now, as much as you say the glaring fact might be our body composition, I'd agree with you. I feel the same percentage is possible. The glaring effect is our skill. I can't discern between which it is. I need to find out. You get what I'm trying to say? But until that choice can be made, nobody can come and tell me, I'm sure it's this. How are you so sure? Do you know the other? You can only be sure of one outcome when you know the other. You haven't even discarded this outcome, but you're so sure this is the reason.
Right.
But you haven't even seen if the other thing could be a possibility or not. If we knew everything about a muscle up and we still can't do it, yes, you're very granted to come and tell me it's now probably because you guys carry too much weight. But the other, you don't even know the other part. Like I can't remember a time when I've shown them a proper muscle up for me. Right? I've never done a proper muscle up. I've embarrassed myself in front of them. So skill was never even considered.
Right.
And
but then the question is, we're considering skill and body fat percentage or
on equal terms,
muscle mass, not on equal terms, as two separate factors that are not interchangeable.
As in?
One affects the other.
You're saying we are considering that?
No, we're not considering that one affects the other and they're both mutually exclusive.
I'm saying they affect each other.
No, for sure. But then the point is it the case that being leaner would mean skill training is easier? I would agree that's possible. You're making the case that regardless of because we're at a body fat percentage that's not considerably high, right? To the point where it doesn't affect scale training. That's what you're saying.
No, I'm saying. Let me frame this well. I'm saying, in our current state, we should be able to do a shitty version of them, which is what I'm currently doing. Now comes the question. I'm sure fat will affect your progression to doing an ultimate version. I do not think in my current state I will ever be able to do what Daniel Vadnal does as a strict muscle up, unless and until I lean out and I have only pretty much muscle. That I understand. But the question here is not whether can you do a strict muscle up or not. The question here is, can you do a muscle up at all? When that question comes in, I think skill plays, like we agree,
Sure.
a muscle up is more skill than your strength. In that case, the argument comes in, why didn't you even consider my strength skill? We're not talking about a strict muscle up. I never said I can do a strict muscle up.